Well, guys, unfortunately, 2025 is already starting out horribly with what they're calling a mass casualty event in New Orleans. Apparently, they're just saying a man, drove through a crowd of people with his pickup truck and ran over as many as he possibly could, and then he got out of the pickup truck and started shooting. And from the reports I saw right now, depending on which report you listen to, there's been between 10 and 12 people that are confirmed dead and 30 that are wounded. So I'm sure that number of dead will probably go up with 30 people wounded. Hopefully not, but more than likely that's what will happen. Now, I listened to several videos about this, news reports about this show on YouTube, trying to get some more information on, the attacker. And from what I saw, everyone I listened to, they haven't said anything specific about the attacker. All they said is that it is a man. They haven't said it's a illegal, a man in a dress. They haven't said it's a white man or whatever. But I'm sure if it was a white guy that done this, the first thing in the news, all over the news plastered, white man, mid-40s, commits terrorist attack inside the United States or mass casualty event. So we would have heard that, most likely. So most likely, it's not a white guy. Most likely, it's something else besides a white guy. It could be an illegal, but I would just about 100% bet that it isn't a white guy. Because if it was a white man that did this, it would have been all over the news. White male, mid-40s. White male, mid-40s, committed this attack. We've seen it before. But when they're trying to avoid saying who it is, we know usually what it is. So anyway, let's take a listen to this video here. I haven't listened to this one specifically myself. I listened to some of these over here in the sidebar already, trying to find out what we can find out about, the attacker. So far, nothing. The only thing I've heard is a man drove a pickup truck through into the crowd intentionally and tried to run over as many people as he possibly could, and then got out and gunshots are fired. They aren't saying if he's escaped, they aren't saying if he is dead, they aren't saying anything, just a man. That's all they're saying. So we know they're trying to cover something up, or they're working on, the cover up. They're trying to spin this into being someone else's fault more than likely, because they want to push, a certain narrative. White man bad, white man dangerous. So we know more than likely it's not a white guy. If it was, they would definitely be saying it all over the news media. That's just the way that it goes.
Let's bring in the CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick, who is following these developments in Washington. You were listening into that update there. What do we know about this alleged deadly truck ramming? As we heard there, it is intentional. That is the wording from the police chief. And the vehicle believed to have gone around the barricades here.
Yeah, so as we heard her describe, this happened around 3 a.m. local time on New Year's Eve, in the wake of New Year's Eve celebrations on Bourbon Street, around Canal Street, a very popular tourist destination, a popular destination for locals as well on a night like New Year's Eve. There had been a parade earlier in the day. Of course, lots of bars and restaurants in that area hosting New Year's Eve celebrations. So this happened in a busy area on a busy night, understandably, of course, and witnesses describing an absolutely horrifying scene. Some witnesses have described seeing a white pickup truck speeding down the street, crashing through a barricade and hitting people in the crowd. And we heard the police chief there saying as well that this truck went around the security barricades that had been set up in that area. She made it very clear that they are treating this as intentional behavior. We heard her say that this driver allegedly tried to run over as many people as possible. And she did reiterate that this was not a drunk driving situation, she had mentioned. So again, to recap the numbers that we know at this hour, they are reporting that 10 people have died and another 35 people have been brought to various hospitals in the city.
35 now, so the injury rate went to 35. So no doubt the death rate will also go up. But so far, no mention of what or who the driver actually was.
2 police officers have been shot. So
So that's new information right there. I hadn't heard yet. 2 police officers have been shot, she said right there. So that's new. I didn't know that.
described how when the vehicle came to a stop after crashing, she says the driver fired upon police officers who were on the scene and 2 were shot. They are in stable condition, is the latest on those police officers. There had been a heavy police presence in the area for New Year's Eve celebrations earlier in the week. Local police saying how they would be at 100% staffing and had even brought in other police officers from other jurisdictions, an additional 300 officers. So a heavy police presence, not just because of New Year's Eve celebrations, but because the city is set to host a major football game today, the Sugar Bowl, which is a major college football game. And so there are even more tours.
So still yet, guys, no mention whatsoever about the shooter, his name, his age, nationality, nothing like that. So we know pretty much what that it is. Most likely it is an illegal that did this. I don't know for sure. I'm not saying that's what it was, but more than likely that is what that it is, because they're not wanting to say it. They're not coming out and saying it. It definitely, 90% chance anyways, that it's not a white guy. Because if it was, and white guys are capable of doing this, I'm not saying that. However, if it was a white guy, it would be all over the news being reported. 40-year-old, 30-year-old white male, they have his face, his photograph plastered all over the media because they'd want to put that narrative out there. 40-year-old white male, conservative, mad about illegals or something they'd put out there if they had that information to put out there. But we aren't hearing anything at all. They're just saying a man. So we pretty much know what this is going to turn out to be. So it should, and apparently there's one individual drove into a crowd, wounded 35 people now, killed at least 10 people. I'm hearing 12, depending on which news report I'm hearing. So 10 to 12 people shot 2 police officers, and more than likely the perpetrator is dead because he shot the police officers and there was heavy police officer presence there. So more than likely he's dead in the morgue somewhere, but you aren't releasing information on anything about this attacker. So we'll have to wait and see who this is, but more than likely it is what we think that it probably is, more than likely. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and stay out of crowds, guys. Stay out of crowds, because crowds are a dangerous place to be. They're lucky that this guy, they're not lucky, but they're lucky that he didn't make more of a plan. You know, if he would have made a more of a plan, he could have loaded that truck up with a whole lot of stuff that goes boom, drove it into the crowd, and then pressed a button and went boom, and been a whole lot worse. So it could have been a whole lot worse here, guys. It's bad enough, it's horrible, horrific, but it definitely could have been worse. So let's wait and see what the news reports are later on today, and see if they come out and tell us who this was and what type of person this was. Anyway, I would ask you to like the video if you'd like me to bring in the news, and give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, hopefully.